were the principal at Maine when my granddaughter was there. Yeah, you were the principal there.
We had a lot of
I didn't
fun.
have to come visit you, so I was there.
Well, that's a good
Because
thing.
I was I told everybody, I said, my family, the grandmother is the one you fear. The parent, I said, when grandmother comes, she overrules and...
Yeah, look, if I look in my entire career,
she was there.
I knew if a grandparent came in, I knew it was serious, you know. But it's like I said, it's been great, and these kids have motivated me so much in this community that I actually have finished my doctorate degree just recently.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. And that was honestly when I came here, never thought about that, but it was through the love and the pushing and assistance of many people in this community, you know, to continue to work to make a difference in our children's lives that I went back to school and got it.
Okay, so you mentioned our kids, so let's talk about our latest issue with our kids. We have our children, our kids, have somehow developed boredom when there's enough things for them to do. So, and you know, when our kids develop boredom, I'll say they start becoming stupidity because they do things that they shouldn't be doing. They're getting crazy about.
Idle hands.
Yes. So our kids have started these little fights. I mean, and it's more like me, you, and Joe go beat up Paul because he's Paul and there's no reason. So they've been doing that, and it's getting ridiculous, and it's getting where not that I didn't believe it, I needed to see it. I am that one. So I leave school early enough from the campus I'm at where I can get to a high school within a certain amount of time. Right. So I went to this certain street where these things supposed to happen, and I pulled up, and I'm that one that doesn't know what don't do, what, you know, people said don't jump in. I'm not, I'm that one who just didn't understand that. I figured that I'm a mother to everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
So the kids were acting up, and they did get crazy. So I put it right in front of them. Yes, I broke every traffic law in Killeen. But anyway, I pulled up in front of the kids, right? Yes, and I got in my vehicle, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "What does it look like what I'm doing?" I said, "I know what." I said, "I know what." I said, "But why?" You know, and they're looking at me like, "Do you want some of this?" I said, "No, you don't want me." And I told them, I said, "You just don't want to go that route." Well, at the same time, I keep phone numbers that I need to have. I keep the chief's cell phone number. I don't want his office number. I could care less about his office number. I need a cell number. So I called our chief of police, and I'm like, "Hey, listen, I'm in front of so many kids, and these kids are listening to me, believing she is not doing that." And I told him what was going on, and I asked him why did he allow it to happen, because I blamed him. He says, "Well, it's not on school property. I'm smart enough to know those rules." I said, "It's not. I know the law. It's on your property." You know, and I yelled at him. I blame him because to me it's his fault. You know, I say, "But this is going on." And the kids are still looking at me like, "This woman is crazy." Right. You know, and so I used my own little thing. I told the kids, I'm from Detroit, you know, we don't have good sense. You know, we always carry something. So anyway, the kids had dispersed, but still, I took a picture of the kids and I sent it to him. And I asked him, he said, "Why were you there?" I said, "Because I kept hearing all this happens at this street. So I decided at that right time to be there."
Yes.
You know, and I said, so to me, what I see, okay, I went to the thing at Shoemaker. I don't know what that was for. Seriously, I don't know.
I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, speaking about my research to a national education conference. So I wasn't there for that.
I was there for that, and I don't know what that was for, because I took myself as not working for KISD.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know why. I don't know why I was there, because I learned one thing, that we weren't there to solve a problem. I learned that. And that's, if, you know, we were there to do something, I don't know. But what I think needs to happen, and it's just me, one, we need to address it. And we need to address it loudly, and we don't need to address it quietly. Because then it becomes, oh, shoot, they're not doing nothing about it. We can continue. So, but what I think is someone from KISD, someone from the city of Killeen, we need to sit on each other's boards. Because if we do, if they sit on the school board, and not as a elected person, but just somebody there, they're able to address a concern, and you sit on the city council, you're able to address a concern and bring it up instead of the phone call, "Hey, you, this is what's going." Then we keep up with what's going on. We need to do something quick, and we need to do something fast, and student services is yours. So what are we gonna do?
Well, student service is mine, but what you spoke about really doesn't fall under my umbrella. But I will say this about some of the things you talked about, about members sitting on each other's boards. Mm-hmm. I think that becomes more of a state and city law mm-hmm. requirements that you have to look at how those things work, because both of those are publicly elected boards. And so mm-hmm. there are some legal things that would have to take place. But I will tell you that we do have joint meetings between our school board and the city councils of all of the cities within our attendance zone. So they try to address those issues in those meetings. I can tell you that I know there's open dialogue mm-hmm.
between
all entities. But, one of the things I go back to, you talked about how you heard and you showed up.
Yes.
I grew up in a time when that we believed in it takes a community or mm-hmm. a village to raise a child. And right. I think some people think we've gone beyond that, but we haven't.
Right.
That still is the case. It takes
right.
a village to raise a child. And so when you hear about those things such as you did, you took direct action.
Mm-hmm.
But I would always ask people to, reach out to those people that are employed to take action,
right.
In addition to, some things, for example, you showing up in the community. When you're home in your community and kids are walking by, a lot of times I found in education, and working with adolescents, that your mere presence, we have something in teaching pedagogy where we talk about classroom management,
right.
and we talk about the proximity rule,
mm-hmm.
which
right.
is when a student is,
yes.
kind of cutting up, you continue doing what you're doing, but you go stand next to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the same thing can be applied out there in our community, because as you said, you went to a neighborhood down the street away from the school,
right?
And this is taking place.
Mm-hmm.
So, if those people in the community have an opportunity to come outside and just be present,
right?
The odds are a lot of these behaviors wouldn't happen, because children say, "Oh, I can't sneak and do this,"
right?
Because again, one of those old sayings that I remember is things that you do at night will come to light.
Mm-hmm.
And so children don't want negative things to come to light.
Right.
So when you're out there and they see it, they tend not to do them. So I think it's a community, it's a village issue, because whereas on a school campus we have our student code of conduct, we can apply it, we can do things, but still the children leave
mm-hmm.
the campus and go home. Whether we're disciplining them on campus, they may still do the same thing, but now instead of doing it on campus where we can use the student code of conduct, they may do it in the street. And one of the things that when I work with parents, and they're appealing disciplinary consequences to me, or they're talking to me about something that they think was wrong, and one of the big things that I try to get all of us to remember is this, that school is really the last safe environment for our adolescents, because you can make a mistake in school and there may be a consequence to it, but that consequence typically isn't a lifelong consequence.
Correct.
Meaning, if you were to get in a fight, which I hate with a passion to see when that happens. I always try and get children to understand. Look mm-hmm. here, let's talk to each other. Let's figure this out. Because if this is simply somebody told you I said something, well, come ask me before
mm-hmm.
you approach me negatively, and I'll tell you.
Right.
And if I tell you I didn't, believe what I tell you, because I got no reason to lie to you.
Right.
And I think if we can start to get our children to understand that, that's a huge concept. But the other piece also is, I was talking about if a child got in a fight on the campus, we'll use student code of conduct. They may get out of school suspended, in school suspended. They may even get sent to our alternative school, but they'll have a chance to come back. But see, when you do those same things out in the street, what our young children don't realize is, in today's world, you can be charged as an adult at 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get a criminal charge on your record, it stays.
Yes.
It stays, and that will negatively affect your potential future earnings mm-hmm. and the choices that you have.
It does.
If you get a felony while you're a juvenile, you might not be able to get that expunged or sealed. Yeah. And now that felony may keep you from voting. Mm-hmm. That you spoke about at the beginning of the show. That felony may keep you from being able to join the service or working with children. So there are a lot of ramifications that unfortunately I think our young people don't understand, that we need to help them understand. Mass media has the ability to be a good thing, but unfortunately uncontrolled, it can be a very bad thing, because I can film anything or do anything and put it online, and so, as you said, idle minds. Mm-hmm. So children are trying to find things to do. And speaking of finding things to do, even within KISD, we spend a lot of time trying to do things. my dissertation, for example, I'm going to go back to how important our children in this community is. My dissertation is the effects of extracurricular participation on the academic achievement of the African American male. And again, I've been on the road for the past couple of weeks speaking at national conferences about that topic. What I'm addressing is a lack of social and cultural capital is really what it is in my research. It's not so much about you being a great football player or you being a great celloist. It's about the social and cultural capital that is gained through that participation. And I think for a lot of our children, they're lacking that, whether because they're not getting it from home, right. And they're not getting it at school. And so as we adults start to identify that and helping our children start to gain that and gain social emotional intelligence so that they understand that just because someone says something to you doesn't make or break you. You don't understand who you are and have pride in who you are. I think there's a lot of facets to this problem that we're seeing.
It is.
Everything, like I said, from, mass media, internet, and all that. There's no one solution, but I think as a community, we can come together and we can find one. We have Miss Anjanette Wilkerson, and she's my director of community and student outreach. I have a coordinator for district outreach, Mrs. Vicki Mintz. And Vicki directly oversees the APRN program, Army Youth Program in your neighborhood, where we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to have after-school programs at our middle and high school. And we keep those things open till 6 o'clock, and we're talking about even keeping them open a little later, so that children have things to do, so that they don't have to go out in the street and be like I was when my dad was a single dad raising me in the military. I was a latchkey kid.
Right.
I came home by myself. We're doing things and having activities and having speakers and things to keep the kids on the campuses until parents get home, and then again, us doing that, between us and parents helping kids with things like social emotional intelligence, helping them build their social and cultural capital, right. And then our community people being out there, and when they see a child walking by, make eye contact, say, hey, how you doing? Hey, I saw you yesterday. How's school going for you? Acknowledging kids, talking with kids. Now all of a sudden something happens in your neighborhood and you've spoken to that kid the past 5 days or something, and you say, hey, Billy, because now you've met him and you know his name, and you call out his name. Children are still children.
Just in case anybody just tuned in, we're talking to Joseph Welch, and for KISD, he's the
Executive Director for Student Services.
Yes. And before we go, he's going to let you know how to contact him. You're talking about the neighborhood, the street I live on. A couple of years ago, it was about 5 years ago, so I started talking. I always ask little kids what school you go to and how's school. So now we have a tea club. I didn't know. They've developed a tea club. The tea club meets in my driveway.
Okay.
So we sit and we talk about school. Because one thing, I was real with the kids. One of the kids said, I don't like my teacher. I said, that's good. That's okay. They said, what? I said, see, listen, you do not have to like him or her, but you must respect them and take what they give you, which is education.
That's it.
So I don't have to, no. I said, no. I say, see, I say, no, you don't.
Right.
This is what it means. I said, there are times when, I said, on my campus here, I said, there's some people on my campus, I don't like them either.
Right.
I said, but one, they don't know. Two, I speak to them every day.
Right.
I said, we might not have long conversations.
Right.
I said, but I do say, hello, how you doing? Right. We might have a little small in-school, conversation. I said, so you don't have to like that teacher, but you need to respect them. And the information they give you, as far as learning, do it. Right. Do your work, do your homework, do all this. So they went back to, so the little girl says, so I just have to respect her, do what she says. I said, yeah, do my homework, yes. So I don't have to like her. I said, you don't have to like anyone. I say, but you have to respect them and take what they give you. Right. Once I said that to the kids, that became our open conversation. Right. I don't know how that one little part, but that one. So now they'll come to my door, Miss Phyllis. I said, yes, there's a young man on our street. We don't know who he is. I said, does he live on the street? No. What does he have on? So they'll tell me where to go, and I'll come outside and I'll pay attention. And if it's something I see strange, we have a block captain. I'll let him know, and he does what he does. So he said, what's with you and the kids? I don't know. We have a tea party. He said, when did y'all start? I don't know. They did. I didn't. I said, but they collage in front of my house because they know that I'm going to say exactly, you know, like it's a fight at my campus. I'm like, is it on your school or away from the school? They said, yeah, away from the school. I said, is it off the school grounds, like all the way off or what? They said, it's on school. I said, then you talk to your principal. They said, well, who else? I said, you can talk to your school counselor. They said, well, the teacher won't listen. I said, that's fine. They said, well, there are people that outrank her. They said, well, the teacher people. I said, you can talk to the school counselor. I said, one thing. If you tell your teacher, I need to go speak to the school counselor, you do not have to tell her why. But you can simply say, I need to speak to her. I said, they're supposed to let you speak to them and go tell them. You know, so we've got this dialogue going on in my street with a bunch, and they're now middle school kids. They're not little kids anymore. But I like that. Because it started with the fact that I'm telling them, you don't have to like her. You just got to respect them. Some door that opened, I don't know what it was. So, and now we got that communication going. Well,
and again, that goes back to the village raising a child. Because you took the time to speak to children and befriend those children, and they responded. You know, another saying that I've always had was every child wants to please an adult. The only question is, are you the adult they want to please? And that all started because you chose to build a relationship with them. And because of that, what you taught them as elementary children, now it's carried over in the middle school, and it will carry to high school, and it's the ripple effect. They will then take those lessons that you taught them and pass them on to their friends and their friends. You know, our children, you know, I was, you know, and I'll go ahead and put my age out there. I was born in 1969, and you know, Desi and Lucy slept in separate beds. You know, the Brady Bunch family was a unique thing. You know, in today's world is far different when you turn on the television and you listen to music. And I think sometimes we as adults have to remember that even though it's not the quote good old days like when we were children with Desi and you know, and Lucy sleeping in separate beds and divorce being something that was unique, we still have to remember that our children are still just that. They're children. And if we don't take the time to teach them what they need to know, whether it's in school, the academic piece, whether it's socially and culturally outside of school, where are they supposed to learn it? You know, one book that I remember reading at a young age was called Lord of the Flies. And if you remember, Lord of the Flies was about a group of boys who were stranded on an island and what happened without adult leadership. You know, if you haven't read it, go read it. Go get the movie. And this is what I'm talking about. We have to remember that our children are still children. And if we don't take time to teach them, they will decide what's right and what's wrong on their own. And with no role models, unfortunately, we know odds are you're going to probably choose what's socially unacceptable and wrong more times than not.
And, you know, also with our children, and some of my coworkers, we debate about that. But I told them I stay in tune with them as far as their language. The latest song, if I hear them say a song, I'll go listen to it because I don't want to be caught asking them to sing it or say it and just like, oh my gosh. So, and the cartoons, I'm not going to deal with that. I can't. But I think if we work with children, even if they're in your neighborhood or whatever, we need to teach them, but also we need to learn from them, because once we learn like the text lingo, I learned all of it. Oh my gosh. And some I would text about, what does it mean? I'm quick. What does that mean? If we don't know those things, we're lost. And we can no longer connect with them because they figure they don't know nothing about this or that. So I got them.
Well, you remember back even when we were young, you know, you had those old folks. You know, those old folks. And I agree with you. You know, I mean, all of my time when I was on the campus, and even today with having children, I still try and stay in touch. You know, but when I was on the campus, it was vitally important for me. You know, I used the word earlier in this interview, grinding. You know, for those that don't know what grinding means, it simply means that I go to work every day and I try hard. But the children, if you say I go to work every day and try hard, they'll look at you. But if you say grinding, they know exactly what you mean. So it is, you know, I mean, I laugh and joke all the time and tell people that I'm bilingual. Oh, what? Well, you speak Spanish? No. I speak English and I know how to speak to kids, you know, because it is. And sometimes, you know, and I even say this in the classroom setting, sometimes it's lost in the translation. You know, and so, you know, we did things when I was a building principal and a teacher where we did, and kind of getting off task, but we called it reciprocal learning or small group learning, where I set the groups up with a very high achiever, couple, you know, hardworking kids, and then maybe a kid who was struggling. And that was because when the teacher gave the direct teach, one of those kids, either the high achieving kid or the middle kids, would be able to understand and help the other group. And that also reinforced the learning, because if you can teach it to someone, then you've mastered it. So it took care of a lot of things, but it addressed one of the very important factors, is that translation. And we as adults, in building relationships, and that's part of a relationship, it's a give and a take. You know, if you think, well, I have a relationship with a child because I tell that child what to do every day, that's not a relationship. I mean, you're a drill sergeant or a dictator. A relationship is that we share information. I listen, you listen, we grow together, we learn together. You know, and I do believe in being a lifelong learner. And that's just not in the books. That's just in life in general.
Because I know one of my coworkers, she's going to kill me when she hears it. That's okay. We were in the hallway.
It's just between us, Phyllis. They won't go anywhere.
Yeah, she's going to hear it. we were in the hallway in the school, and me and her were, and one of the kids said, I'm going to go commando today. I said, no, you not. You know, I said, no, you're not. Let's talk about that.
Right.
So we're walking on down the hall, and she was silent. So I knew what her side. We turned the corner. She said, what did he say? He said he wasn't going to wear underwear. She said, no, he didn't. Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
She goes, what do you mean? I said, that's what commando means.
Right.
She said, so what I said was crazy. Yes, you said that was very good. I said, you said that was very good, so I jumped away from you. No, you're not going to do that. And she says, how do you figure all these things out? Because I hang with kids all the time. And when they say something I don't know, I said, what does that mean? She said, well, I said, then I put it in my head. I said, because somewhere or another it's going to come in handy. But I said, she said that, she told him, she said, oh, that's really nice. I'm like, no.
Well, you know what? When you said it, I'll be honest, I guess I'm around kids so much, because when you said it, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
but her, she works with the kids, but she's far removed.
Right.
And she says, I said, so if I would have let what you said stand, he would have told everybody else that it's okay to do it. It's very important. I mean, it's very important. And again, whether you're in a school or whether you're out there in the community, that, you know, you're sitting out in front, know the kids, know, and that's one of the things, Phyllis, that I'll say that another reason that I actually moved to Killeen, Texas, because in San Diego, you know, when you drive down the street and people don't recognize you or see your car, everybody start to, you know, kind of duck behind something and look at you strange. When my wife and I came here, one of the first things happened, we're driving in my dad's pickup truck in the neighborhood we've never been. His truck, the first time it ever been through, people literally put down their groceries so that they can wave hi to us. That told me that this is the place I want to be. And then I didn't even know the title that this place was called the Great Place. I didn't realize that till later, but it is just that, it's the great place. And I think when we, even though we have a lot of people like myself that are transplants, leave what we had somewhere else there. Join what Killeen has, which is you love everyone, you get to know everyone, and so you know your neighbors. You talk to your neighbors. Your kid walking down the street. I mean, this reminds me of Niagara Falls, New York, where I was a kid, where I did something I probably shouldn't have did, and this woman pulled over and she said, "What you doing?" And we just kind of looked at. She said, you Bear Welch's boy. I know that big head of yours, you know." And you know what? She did. She knew my grandfather, you know, and that's what this place is to me. It is. I want to thank you for coming on this morning.
I appreciate being invited
to talk about students and our most important treasure jewels we have. And I want to thank you for doing the job that you do also. But before we go, I want you to mention how they can reach you one more time.
Yes, ma'am. You can reach me via internet at joseph.welch, and that's WELCH at killeen.isd.org. Or you can call my office directly at area code 254-336-2822.
Okay, and I want to thank everyone for listening to KISS Community Connections. And if you do miss the show, you can go to mykiss1031.com, go to Community Connections, and all my shows are stored there. Again, I want to thank you for listening to KISS Community Connections, 103.1 KISS FM. I want you to always remember, you cannot lead a positive life with a negative mind. We'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye now.